welcome to CodeChef. My name is Nandini Kapoor, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing a problem named Halva. Its code is CAC104. You can look it up on CodeChef in practice problems and solve it first, and then come on here later and see the solution. Its prerequisites are nothing really. You don't need to know anything beforehand to be able to solve this problem. Its difficulty is Cakewalk, and I'm about to start with the problem statement. So the problem statement says that chef is preparing a sweet dish called halva. He has already added all the necessary ingredients except milk and sugar. He just added one of the remaining ingredients and someone started ringing the bell. So what is told to you is that halva definitely needs milk and sugar in chef's world. And he has already added one of these two ingredients. You're not told which one just yet, but you will be obviously. Now, when the bell is rung, he wants to check who is ringing the bell. So he tells you the ingredient he just added and asks you to add the last one. What will be the ingredient you need to add? So it is told to you that the halwa requires milk and sugar, and chef has added either milk or sugar, and now he's telling you which one of these two he has added into the halwa, and you have to tell which one is remaining. So that means, we're moving on to the solution now because it's not a very complex problem. Obviously, as you can see, it's a very beginner friendly problem, sort of a hello world problem, if you will. So the thing is, you're going to be given a few number of test cases. So you're going to be given T as the input first. If this is 1, then only one test case will follow. If this is 2, then 2 test cases will follow. If this is 3, then 3 test cases will follow, and so on. This T will have a limit which we can look at later. Now, for example, if you're given 1, then you will just be given one line of input. If you're given 2 as T, then you will be given 2 lines of input. Maybe let's say milk and then again milk, or milk and sugar, or sugar and milk, any combination of these. So, right, you get the point, right? You'll be given a single line of input in which one of these two ingredients will be written, and that is the ingredient that chef has already added into his halwa. I don't know why I'm making a pot. Anyway, so yeah, the solution to this problem is pretty simple. It's just that you have to check if the string that is given to you reads milk. If it does read milk, then you have to output sugar, a new line, and that's about it for your solution. If the line that you've read reads sugar, then you have to output milk, and that's about it for the solution. So if milk is given to you, that means chef has added milk to his halwa, then you will output sugar, which is the remaining ingredient out of the 2 that are given to you. If chef has added sugar, that means you need to add milk now. So that is what you're going to output because that is what is asked of you. Now let us take a look at the constraints and if it will fit within the time limit given. So the constraints that are given to us are that T is equal to 100. That means you can at maximum be given 100 lines of input. That means 100 times that chef will tell you which ingredient he has already added to the halwa, and you need to answer all of these 100. The strings can only be milk and sugar. You will not be given any other redundant input for which you have to output something else. The only 2 inputs that will be given to you are milk and sugar. So you need not worry about some other strings that may be given to you. There are also subtasks in this. So for 10 points, T will be just 1. That means if you are answering just one of the test cases, you will be given 10 points. Otherwise, you will be given the entire number of points, which is 100 in these questions. The sample test case is sort of to help you understand the format and how you're building the solution sort of. So as you can see, the first line gives you T, that is the number of test cases. In this case, it is 2. The inputs that are given to you is the first line is sugar. That means chef has already added sugar into his halwa. So what do you need to add? Well, milk. So that is what you're outputting, milk as the first output. The second input that is given to you is milk itself. That means what remains to be added is now sugar. So you'll output sugar. So I think that about makes the question pretty clear. If you want to take a look at my submission, I'll explain the code and then we can move towards the common mistakes. So here is my code that I submitted to the problem. It gives an AC, as you can see. AC means an accepted code. So that means your code is giving the correct output. If it's not giving the correct output, Chef will give you a WA or a wrong answer verdict. Just a thing to keep in mind. Now, the first few lines are just my macros, so you don't need to worry about these at all. These are not used anywhere in the code. What I'm doing first of all is using a fast IO. What fast IO essentially does is it gives all the outputs together to all the test cases instead of giving them one by one as you put the lines into the input. So you don't need to worry about this either. CodeChef does not require you to submit it in this format or anything like that. The first thing I do is take t as my input, that is the test case, and then I run a while loop, which essentially is similar to running a for loop from 0 to t minus 1. It'll essentially call the function solve t minus 1 t times, not t minus 1, I apologize. It'll call the function solve t times. So what am I doing inside solve? I'm declaring a string, I'm taking it as the input, and I'm checking if it is equal to the string sugar. If it is, then I'm outputting milk on my console. Otherwise, I'll output sugar because if the string is not sugar, that means it is definitely milk. When it is milk, I need to output sugar instead. Like I said, there are no other strings that are given, so you don't need to worry about anything else. That's why only an if else is used, not an if, else if, and else. That's about it for the code. Once you're done with the else part or the if part, whichever one your control got into, you'll be out of this function and back into the while loop. Once the while loop terminates, you will be at the end of main. That means your code will have terminated entirely. Now moving on to the common mistakes, a very common mistake that I did notice is not caring about the case of the string. So the strings in this question are case sensitive. That means when you press a caps lock and enter something, that means in capitals, if you enter some alphabets of the string in capital, that is not considered to be the same as when you enter it with small alphabets. So that means sugar, sugar, all of these inputs which have some of the other different case in their alphabets are going to be entirely different from sugar, which is your normal input that is given to you, all in small cases. So you're going to have to take care of this. Otherwise, your code will give a wrong output because it essentially will never enter into whatever if you've written. For example, if I use if with a capital sugar over here and try to submit it. So if you want to see what happens, I can just submit it and show you what happens if I submit this code. What I'm anticipating will happen is that it will give me a wrong answer verdict. That is, CodeChef will give me a wrong answer verdict because it will never go inside the if, because the string that is given to me is case sensitive, right? I submit it in the language C++, and it'll take a few seconds to run it on all the test files that are present in the system. And as you can see, it'll give me a wrong answer. Now, for some cases, it might give an AC. Don't get confused by this. It only means that the test file that it run on only consisted of answers that said sugar. So that's why, as it always entered into the else part, your answer is not wrong in this case, despite the code being wrong. That's all it means. So as you can see, it has passed for neither of the subtests, meaning the one for 10 points or the one for 90 points. So it has passed for neither of the subtasks. Now, let me show you an example in which just one of the subtasks is passing. So the first subtask was for t equal to 1, right? So let's try and do that. So instead of making this a while loop, I'll just simply call solve just once. So that would mean I'm just calling it once. However, I will have to take t as the input. It's not understood that it is 1. Okay, so now let me try and submit this solution instead and see how much of the test files run on these with an accepted verdict. There you go. So remember that I'm not removing the line that took t as the input, because that's not the right thing to do in this case. Okay, so this is giving a wrong answer because I forgot the case again. So the mistake that I told you about, I forgot to remove that itself. So yeah, most of the solutions that are submitted to this problem are for like beginner submitting solutions. So that's why this mistake was very prominent, because most people don't know about the case when they're starting with a language or starting with competitive programming in general. That's why I mentioned it over here. And now I'm trying to submit it for 10 points. Let's see what happens. So as you can see, it's giving me 10 on 100 points, which means it ran on one of the subtasks, which consisted of just 10 points, as is given in the question. So that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And leave your suggestions down below in the comments if you have any. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.